So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, when they angered us, we took retribution from them and drowned them all. I need to make mention of something very important here. It does not mean that those who were drowned are being punished by Allah. In fact, my mothers and sisters, those who are drowned could also have achieved the rank of martyrdom in the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When they've been obedient to Allah. There are people, for example, today who are lost in the aircraft. We make dua for them. We ask Allah to grant them goodness. Nobody can come up and say that was the punishment of Allah. There are people who are marooned somewhere off the shores of Greece right now as we talk. May Allah grant them goodness or protection, and may Allah bring them back to the shores. But the massive boat is on fire. This was not just an hour ago that this happened. And I'm talking of off the shores of Europe. It's current news, something that happened just now. 400 people marooned. Where? A huge ship on fire, somewhere in Europe. That does not necessarily mean that Allah is punishing, penalizing. It's a test from Allah. Those who believe and have a sound heart, for them, if they were to lose their lives, may Allah not let that happen. But if they were to, I don't have a say in it, nor do you. And at the same time, perhaps Allah will grant them goodness and elevation. It was their way of departing this world. The same applies to people who've passed away in other disasters and in floods. The floods in Malaysia and Far East Asia and everywhere else. The floods in parts of Zimbabwe right now as we speak. Rains and so on. People who've been affected in a big way. Those who may have lost their lives. It was a way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taking their lives away. It's not up to us to say they were punished and penalized. That is small-mindedness and lack of knowledge. That's what it is. We have to say that was Allah's decision. Whether or not Allah punished certain people, that's between them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But those who had a sound heart, who had a link with Allah, He did not punish them. He would not punish them. Allah has told us that if you have a link with me, I will not punish you. Allah is looking for any excuse to forgive you and I. And this is why it's important for us to go out and seek the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't ever look at someone who's suffering a loss and say, that's the punishment of Allah. Wow, they deserved it. A'udhu billah. What small-mindedness is this? What type of attitude this is? What type of behavior? Are you Allah to know that this was punishment? No, you're not. How do you know upon what condition they died? How do you know the secret deeds between them and Allah? When the tsunami happened and when disasters have happened, people are quick to say this is a punishment of Allah. No way. Are you Allah to know what it was? Not at all. So we who have read the Quran and understand it and understood it, and we who understand the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to a great degree, we would tell you that leave that to Allah to decide. You cannot issue a ruling to say these people were penalized and punished. It depends upon what condition they died. There were people who died while they were dressed very appropriately, mentioning the name of Allah. How dare you and I make mention of something that doesn't befit such people? Who are we? And sometimes you might have a person who might have died in a condition that might not be seemingly pleasant, but they might have had last words with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that may have been higher than the last words you and I might utter. May Allah not do that to us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us with the best of words the day we are departing this world. Because it's definitely mentioned by the Prophet ﷺ that he who utters the most beautiful of words as he's leaving this world will definitely be seen to be achieving paradise, perhaps even without reckoning. So no matter what you've done in the past, man kana akhiru kalamihi min ad-dunya la ilaha illallah dakhala al-jannah. You have the declaration of faith to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as the last words before you were taken away. For you is paradise. May Allah help us to achieve that. So my mothers and sisters, this is why I paused for a moment to clarify it, because people say the Pharaoh died with drowning and that was a punishment. How do we know it? Because Allah told that to us. So did Allah send the angel Gabriel to you to come and tell you that those guys who died, with the floods or drowned and so on, they were punished by us? If that was the case, then we would have believed, but you're not a prophet and the archangel does not come to you. Jibreel alayhi salam doesn't come to you. Revelation does not come to you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on us. Why do we need to say these things? And sometimes, what beats me is when people who are figures of knowledge happen to say this. And this is when it causes disaster across the globe, where people say these people were punished, those were punished. Who are you to determine what exactly happened to them? The only thing that you need to do is to save yourself and others as best as possible from the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that you do not die in a condition where Allah is displeased with you and the same happens to me. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us and grant us goodness. I think that was a very, very important point, and especially right now, considering what's going on the globe and the difficulty that our brothers and sisters are facing in Indonesia, in the Philippines, and in Malaysia and various other countries, Thailand and so on. We should never ever open our mouths with bad words, lest Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala test us with something similar or worse because of the evil statements that come out of our mouths. We should pray for them, we should make dua for them, and the Muslims from amongst them as well as the non-Muslims from amongst them. We ask Allah to protect them, to grant them safety and guidance, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bring them upon the straight path and to let us tread the straight path as well. This is the way of a Muslim. This is the way of Islam. My mothers and sisters, something loud and clear. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala